Imagine you walk into the most expensive restaurant in the world. The meal costs everything you have, your entire life savings. You can only eat there once. This is it. And when the waiter brings the menu, you realize you can't order everything. You have to choose. Some dishes you'll never taste, some experiences you'll never have, some versions of yourself you'll never become. And here's the thing, life is that restaurant. You're already inside. You're already spending everything you have. The question isn't whether you'll pay the price. You're paying it right now, with every hour, every choice, every yes and no. The question is, are you ordering what you actually want, or are you just eating whatever's put in front of you? Because most people never even look at the menu. They just consume what's easiest, and then they die having never tasted what they came here for. Look, you know life is short, but you live like it's infinite. You say yes to things that drain you, later to things that matter, and busy when you mean I've lost control of my time. The result? You're exhausted, unfulfilled, and terrified that you're wasting your one life. And here's what I need you to understand. The problem isn't time management, it's meaning management. You don't need more hours. You need to ruthlessly eliminate everything that doesn't align with your actual values. Most advice tells you to be more productive. I'm showing you how to be more intentional. You're going to learn to distinguish between urgent and important. Discover why busy became a status symbol that's killing your soul, and walk away with a framework to reclaim your time from obligations that were never yours to carry. This isn't about squeezing more into your day. It's about creating a life so aligned with your values that every moment feels like it counts. So how do you actually spend life wisely? How do you make time count? It starts with understanding something most people never realize. You're already spending it. The question is, on what? Let me tell you about two funerals. Neither of them has happened yet, but both of them will. And the difference between them is everything. Picture the first one. It's at a nice funeral home. The room is packed, standing room only. And as people get up to speak, they say things like, they were such a hard worker, always available, never said no, great employee, dedicated to the company for 30 years, always responded to emails, even on weekends, and everyone nods, because these sound like good things, right? But here's what nobody says, what they loved, what made them laugh, what they dreamed about, who they were when nobody was watching. Because the truth is, nobody really knows. The eulogy feels hollow. It's full of resume bullets, but empty of essence. Their calendar was full, but their life was empty. They optimized for success, but forgot to define what success meant to them. They said yes to everything except themselves. And now, they're gone, and people are struggling to remember what made them special beyond the fact that they showed up and did the work. Now picture the second funeral. Smaller crowd, maybe half the size. But when people get up to speak, every single one of them has a specific story. They talk about the handwritten letters this person sent, not emails, actual letters, just because. They talk about the Tuesday morning coffee ritual they never missed, even when life got busy. They talk about the way this person dropped everything when you needed them, not because it was convenient, but because you mattered. They talk about the wild dream this person actually pursued, the thing everyone said was impractical or impossible, and how they did it anyway. They talk about presence, about laughter, about the way this person made you feel like you were the only person in the world when they were talking to you. Their calendar had white space, but their life had depth. They disappointed some people to remain true to themselves. They said no often, so their yes meant something. And now they're gone, and everyone in that room knows exactly who they were and what they stood for. So here's my question for you. Which funeral do you want? And more importantly, which life are you currently building? Because here's the thing. The difference between those two people wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It wasn't circumstances. It was intentionality. Person A let life happen to them. Person B designed their life. Person A was busy. Person B was present. Person A spent time. Person B invested it. And most people, if we're being honest, are building Person A's life while dreaming of Person B's funeral. And that disconnect, that gap between how you're living and how you want to be remembered, that's where regret lives. But here's what makes this so hard, because we've been conditioned to believe that busy equals important, that full calendars equal full lives. And I need to tell you about the day I realized that was a lie. I was sitting at my desk on a Sunday afternoon, laptop open, going through my calendar for the previous month. And I asked myself one brutal question. If I do this for 5 more years, who will I become? And I started really looking at where my time was going. Meetings that could have been emails. Obligations I was carrying out of guilt, not desire. Hours, actual hours every day. Scrolling, consuming, numbing. Relationships I was maintaining out of history rather than connection. Projects I was pursuing because they looked good on paper, not because they mattered to me. And then I did the math, and the math was devastating. 70% of my waking hours were going to things that didn't align with my stated values. I said I valued family, but I was seeing them only during distracted dinners where I was thinking about work. I said I valued creativity, but I was spending 0 hours creating anything. I said I valued health, but I was treating my body like an inconvenience, something to fuel and ignore. I said I valued contribution, but most of my energy was going into things that served my ego, not others. And then I asked myself another question, and this one broke me open. If someone could only see my calendar, would they know what I claim to value? And the answer was no, they wouldn't. Because my calendar was a record of a life being lived by default, not by design. And there's a huge difference between those two things. Default life is reactive. It's responding to whoever screams loudest. The email, the notification, the social media. Other people's urgency. Default life is letting your time be taken by anyone who asks for it, because you don't want to disappoint them, even though you're disappointing yourself every single day. Designed life is different. Designed life is proactive. It's protecting time for what matters, even when it's not urgent. It's saying no to good things, so you can say yes to great things. It's making choices based on your values, not other people's expectations. So I did something that changed everything. I made a list of my actual values, not the aspirational ones, the actual ones based on where my time was currently going. And that list was uncomfortable to write because it showed me the truth. Then I wrote what I wanted my values to be. And then I pulled up my calendar and I color-coded every block. Green meant aligned with my values. Yellow meant necessary but not aligned, like administrative tasks, things that have to get done. Red meant neither aligned nor necessary, just time wasted or time spent on things I didn't actually care about. And when I looked at that calendar, it was mostly yellow and red. Mostly. The green was so sparse I could count the blocks. And that visual representation, seeing it right there in front of me, that was the moment I knew something had to change. So I started saying no to everything that wasn't green. And people were confused. Some were offended. I heard things like, "You're becoming selfish. You've changed. Remember when you used to be available?" And you know what? Those reactions confirmed the shift was working. Because being available to everyone means being present to no one, including yourself. And I realized that the word no is actually a complete sentence. I don't owe anyone a detailed explanation for protecting my life. So when someone asked for my time, I started asking myself one question before answering: will I care about this on my deathbed? And if the answer was no, and it wasn't a true obligation, not one I'd chosen, but one I'd been assigned, I said no. I'd say, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I need to decline to protect time for what matters most right now." And that's it. No apology, no guilt, just honesty. And here's what happened. After 1 year of this, 1 year of ruthlessly protecting my time for what actually mattered, I had fewer accomplishments on paper. My LinkedIn looked less impressive. My calendar looked emptier. but my life was infinitely richer. Fewer meetings, deeper relationships, less consumption, more creation, smaller calendar, bigger impact. I was seeing my family not just physically present, but actually there, listening, laughing, connecting. I was creating things that mattered to me, not because they'd get likes or applause, but because they made me feel alive. I was investing time in friendships that filled me up instead of maintaining relationships that drained me. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was actually living instead of just surviving. And this taught me something that contradicts everything we've been told about success and productivity. Life isn't short because of the number of years. It's short because we waste so many of them. Not on pleasure, most people barely allow themselves pleasure, but on obligations we never questioned and urgencies that aren't actually important. And here's the truth. Busy became a status symbol, but it's actually a confession. When someone says I'm so busy, what they're really saying is, I've lost control of my time. Being busy is not the same as being productive. And being productive is not the same as living meaningfully. You can be insanely productive and still build a life you don't want. You can check off every item on your to-do list and still miss the entire point of being alive. And research backs this up. Studies on regret show that the biggest regrets people have at the end of their lives aren't about the risks they took. They're not about the things they tried and failed at. They're about the life they didn't live because they were too busy living the one they thought they should. They regret not spending more time with people they loved. They regret working too much. They regret not pursuing their dreams because they were too busy pursuing security. They regret playing it safe. They regret caring what other people thought. They regret saying yes when they meant no and no when they meant yes. And here's the thing about regret. You can't fix it retroactively. You can't go back and reclaim the time you wasted. But you can stop wasting the time you have left. So let me tell you something important about the word yes. Every yes is a no to something else. When you say yes to the meeting, you're saying no to the workout. When you say yes to scrolling, you're saying no to creating. When you say yes to staying late at work, you're saying no to dinner with your family. Your yes is your most valuable resource. It's more valuable than your money. It's more valuable than your skills. Because you can make more money, you can develop more skills, but you can't make more time. So spend your yes wisely. Guard it, protect it, make people earn it. Because when you say yes to everything, your yes means nothing. And here's the paradox. The more you try to do, the less you actually accomplish. The fuller your calendar, the emptier your life can become. Subtraction is often more powerful than addition. You don't need to add more productivity hacks, more morning routines, more optimization strategies. You need to subtract the things that don't matter so you have room for the things that do. And you won't be remembered for how busy you were. Nobody's going to stand at your funeral and say, wow, their calendar was always full. They're going to remember how present you were, how true you were to yourself, and what you created that mattered. So let me give you something practical, something you can do right now, today, this week, that will change how you spend your life. First, set aside 30 minutes this week, non-negotiable, and write down your top 3 to 5 values, not what you wish they were, not what they should be, what they actually are based on where your time currently goes. Be honest, brutally honest. Then write what you want them to be, and notice the gap. That gap, that space between who you are and who you want to be, that's your work. That's where your attention needs to go. Second, pull up last week's calendar. Right now if you can. And color code each block. Green for aligned with values, yellow for necessary, but not aligned. Things like administrative work. Things that have to get done. Red for neither aligned nor necessary. Just wasted time or time spent on things you don't actually care about. And if more than 50% of your calendar is yellow or red, you know what needs to change. Start with one red block, just one. Eliminate it this week. Delete it. Delegate it. Decline it. whatever it takes. Third, before saying yes to anything new, ask yourself, will I care about this on my deathbed? And if the answer is no and it's not a true obligation, say no. Practice this response, memorize it if you have to. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I need to decline to protect time for what matters most right now. You don't owe anyone more than that. You don't owe anyone a detailed explanation for protecting your life. Fourth, create a weekly reset ritual. Every Sunday evening, 20 minutes. Review the week that just passed. What brought life? What drained it? Be specific. Then plan the next week. But here's the key. Schedule the important before the urgent. Block time for what matters most. Time with people you love, time for your health, time for your creativity, time for rest. And treat those blocks like meetings you can't miss. Because they are. They're meetings with the life you actually want to live. And if someone asks for that time, you're busy. Because you are. You're busy living. And fifth, set a daily reminder on your phone. I know this sounds morbid, but trust me on this. Set it to say, you're going to die. And when it goes off, pause. Just for 5 seconds. And ask yourself, am I spending this moment in a way I'll be proud of? And if the answer is no, adjust. Right then, in that moment. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. Because here's what I need you to understand. You have approximately 28,000 days to live. If you're 30, you've already used 11,000 of them. Gone. If you're 40, you're past 14,000. And you won't feel the days slipping away, they're too small. But decades vanish in a blink. You'll be 25, then you'll blink, and you're 35, then 45, and suddenly you're looking back wondering where it went. Time doesn't slow down. It doesn't wait. It doesn't care about your intentions or your plans or your some days. It just keeps moving. And the only choice you have is what you do with it while it's here. So, here's what we've covered. Life is short, not as a cliche, but as a fact. And the way you spend it matters more than almost anything else. Stop living by default and start living by design. Audit your time. Clarify your values. Eliminate the misalignment. Say no more than you say yes. Protect your attention like it's the most valuable resource you have, because it is. You're not running out of time. You've been spending it on the wrong things. You're not broken for feeling like life is passing you by. You're just finally waking up to the truth that it is. And that truth, as painful as it is also your liberation. Because once you see it, you can change it. You don't need more time. You need more intention. You don't need more productivity. You need more presence. You don't need to do more. You need to matter more to yourself in your own life. 28,000 days. Some of them are already gone. The ones that remain, they're yours to design, not perfectly, messily, imperfectly, but intentionally. Every moment you're alive is a moment someone else didn't get. Honor that. Live like your time is sacred. Because it is. It's the only thing you have that you can never get more of. Spend it wisely. Make it count. Not for others. For you. For the version of yourself who's sitting at the end looking back. Make them proud. If this hit you, if you felt something shift while watching this, leave a comment and tell me, what's the one thing you're going to stop spending time on this week? What's the one thing you're going to protect time for instead? And if you want more reminders that your life is yours to design, that your time matters, that you're allowed to say no to things that don't serve you, subscribe. Not because I need it, but because you deserve regular reminders that you're not here to be busy. You're here to be alive. I'll see you in the next one. Now, go make your time count.